My name is Isabella Jones. I'm 36 years old. I build things for a living. Not metaphors, not dreams, actual structures, concrete, steel, foundations that don't collapse when pressure hits. I run my own construction company. Started with a borrowed pickup truck and a toolbox 10 years ago. Today, I employ 23 people and have contracts booked 18 months out. I don't chase validation. I don't perform. I don't need applause, which is probably why I didn't see it coming. The barbecue was supposed to be simple, just a Saturday afternoon with Daniel Carter's college friends, burgers, beer, backyard laughter. Mike and Emily had just bought a new place. New deck, new grill, new optimism. Daniel and I had been together 3 years. I was used to these gatherings. He was social, loud in the easy way, the kind of man who filled space effortlessly. I didn't mind. I filled mine differently. We worked, or so I believed. I was helping Mike flip burgers when Jessica Moore arrived. Daniel's best friend from college, a woman he described as basically family. I'd met her before, always felt the tension, the sideways glances, the little digs about my work boots, my early mornings, the fact I'd never really traveled. I ignored it. I always did. That night, I was carrying Daniel a fresh drink when I heard her voice rise, sharp, intentional. Seriously, Daniel, she laughed loudly. Another summer without a real vacation? When are you going to stop settling and live a little? Daniel chuckled. We're saving for a property, he said. Isabella's business keeps her busy. Jessica rolled her eyes. And that's it? Pouring concrete forever? God, she's such a loser. No ambition beyond mud and machines. The yard went silent. Every conversation paused. I stood there, cup in hand, staring at Daniel, waiting. 3 seconds felt like an hour. Then he laughed. Not nervously, not awkwardly. A real laugh. She tries her best, he said, taking the drink from my hand without meeting my eyes. Not everyone needs a flashy career. Something inside me clicked, quiet, final. I didn't argue, didn't defend myself, didn't cry. I set my own drink down, walked to the chair where I'd left my jacket, put it on, and left. Isabella? Daniel called after me, confusion lacing his voice. I didn't turn around. I drove home in silence, phone vibrating nonstop beside me. I turned it off. Some things don't need words. They just need an exit. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was heartbroken in the dramatic, crying into a pillow way people expect from women in breakup stories. I didn't sleep because my mind kept replaying one moment like surveillance footage. Jessica's voice, the circle of faces going still, and Daniel's laugh, easy, practiced, like my dignity was an inside joke. At 5:30 a.m., I did what I always do when life gets loud. I got up. I ran. Cold air, steady breathing, pavement under my shoes. Simple things that don't lie to you. When I came back, showered, coffee in hand, I turned my phone on. It exploded. 12 missed calls. Texts stacked like accusations. Where did you go? You embarrassed me. Why are you being so sensitive? Jessica was joking. Everyone knows that. Call me back right now. Then, tone shift, classic Daniel. I'm coming over. We need to talk. I've been knocking for 20 minutes. This is childish, Isabella. I stared at the screen and felt something settle in my chest. Not anger. Clarity. I typed one sentence. I'm not discussing this over text. Call me when you're ready to talk like adults. He didn't call. He showed up. An hour later, my doorbell rang. Firm, impatient. The kind of ringing that says, I'm the injured party here. I opened the door. Daniel stepped inside like he still belonged there. What the hell, Isabella? He demanded, brushing past me into the living room. You just walked out and left me there. I closed the door calmly. Left you where? I asked. At Mike and Emily's, he snapped, in front of everyone. In front of everyone, I repeated, like I was testing the shape of the words. You mean, where you laughed at me? His jaw clenched. You're twisting it. Am I? I leaned against the wall, arms folded. My voice stayed even, which seemed to irritate him more. Jessica called me a loser to my face, Daniel. She's just blunt, he said. You know how she is. That's the excuse you always use. He exhaled hard like I was exhausting him. She wasn't serious. Nobody takes her seriously. I did, I said quietly. And I took you seriously too, when you laughed. Daniel's expression shifted, defensive, then irritated, then that familiar look like he was about to turn this into my problem. I didn't agree with her, he insisted. I was diffusing it. If I made a scene, it would have been worse. I stared at him. Worse for who? I asked. His eyes flicked away for half a second. Not me. Never me. You're blowing this out of proportion, he said, dropping onto my couch like he lived here, like he was settling into a conversation he expected to win. It was a stupid comment at a party. It wasn't the comment, I said. He opened his mouth, but I cut him off before he could bulldoze the moment. It was your reaction. Daniel's eyebrows rose. My reaction, Isabella, come on. I pushed off the wall and took one slow step closer. 3 years, I said. 3 years of me showing up for you, supporting you, listening to your work drama, sitting through dinners with people who think I'm too quiet or too intense because I don't laugh on command. His face tightened. And last night, I continued, the one moment where someone disrespected me, right in front of you, publicly, your instinct wasn't to defend me. He scoffed. I'm not going to police Jessica's mouth. You don't have to police her mouth, I said. You just had to choose me. Silence. For a second, I saw something like worry trying to creep in. Then he tried a different strategy. He stood up, voice softening, stepping toward me the way he always did when he wanted me to forget my own boundaries. Baby, he said gently, I'm sorry if your feelings got hurt. I wasn't thinking. Can we just move past this? That phrase, move past this, as if respect was a speed bump. He reached for my hand. I stepped back. His eyes narrowed slightly, offended by the fact I didn't melt. We've got that work dinner Thursday, he added quickly, trying to redirect. Wear that black dress I like. Let's just reset. A reset. A costume change. Pretend last night never happened. I looked at him and felt something strange. Not heartbreak. Not rage. Just disappointment so deep it was almost peaceful. I won't be attending, I said. His face hardened instantly. What do you mean you won't be attending? I said, voice steady. I'm done, Daniel. He blinked, like he didn't process it at first. Then he laughed, short and sharp. You can't be serious. I am. He stepped forward, intensity rising. You're breaking up with me over one comment? No, I said. I'm breaking up with you because when someone called me a loser to my face, the man who says he loves me laughed. His eyes flashed. This is ridiculous, he snapped. You're throwing away 3 years over nothing. Not nothing, I said. Self-respect. For a moment, he just stared at me. Then his voice dropped into something colder. So what? You want me to apologize on my knees? You want me to cut off my best friend because she said something stupid? I didn't answer right away. I walked to the hallway closet, pulled out a cardboard box, set it on the coffee table. Daniel frowned. What is that? I looked him in the eyes. Your things, I said. His face shifted, shock, then anger. You're serious, he breathed. I've never been more serious. He stood there like his brain was scrambling for the right lever to pull. Then he tried crying, then yelling, then bargaining, then apology, real apology, for about 12 seconds, until he realized it wasn't working. You're being dramatic, he snapped. You always do this. You get cold and you act like you're above everyone. I tilted my head slightly. That's funny, I said softly. Jessica says the same thing. That landed. He flinched like I'd slapped him. And there it was. The truth sitting between us like a third person on my couch. His loyalty. His priorities. His real opinion of me when he thought I wasn't listening. Daniel grabbed his keys, jaw clenched tight. You'll regret this, he hissed. I didn't move. Maybe, I said, but I won't regret respecting myself. His eyes burned. Good luck finding someone else who puts up with your boring workaholic lifestyle, he spat. Your constant need to be validated. I nodded once. Thank you, I said calmly, for confirming my decision. He froze for a second, like he couldn't believe I wasn't chasing him. Then he stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. The silence afterward was loud. I stood there, breathing slowly, staring at the door like it might open again. It didn't, and that should have been the end. But endings like this never end clean. Because 2 days later, I opened my phone and saw Daniel had already started rewriting the story. The first thing I noticed was how quickly the story stopped being private. I hadn't posted anything, didn't subtweet, didn't send voice notes to mutual friends fishing for sympathy. I did what I always do when something breaks beyond repair. I organized. I went back to work. I told my project manager I'd be unavailable for a few days and delegated cleanly. No drama, no explanations. I hit the gym harder than usual. 5 days straight. Lift, sweat, silence. At night, I packed. Daniel and I had never officially moved in together, but after 3 years, our lives were tangled. Clothes in my closet. His spare toiletries in my bathroom. Random chargers, books, jackets that weren't mine. I boxed everything carefully, labeled it. Methodical, controlled. The engagement ring I had already bought stayed locked in my safe. I didn't open the box. Didn't need to. Just knowing it was there felt like a ghost of a future that evaporated the moment he laughed. On the third day, curiosity got the better of me. I opened social media. And there it was. Daniel's post, a long paragraph wrapped in faux vulnerability. He wrote about being publicly abandoned by his girlfriend over a harmless joke, about being blindsided by my emotional overreaction, about how painful it was to be left alone at a party with no explanation. The comments were already piling up. You deserve better. Walking out like that is controlling behavior. Sounds insecure, honestly. She couldn't take a joke? Red flag. Then I saw Jessica's comment. Of course I did. Men like that can't handle being challenged. You dodged a bullet, Daniel. Men like that. I closed the app. Didn't respond. Didn't defend myself. Instead, I sent Daniel one message. I'll drop your things off tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. Your key is in the small front pocket of your black duffel bag. Please have my belongings ready. He replied immediately. We need to talk about this like adults. Stop being childish. I sent one reply. 6 p.m. Please have my things ready. When I arrived at his apartment the next evening, the scene was already set. He'd dressed up, hairstyled, button-down shirt. That cologne he knew I liked, the one he wore when he wanted something. Classic Daniel. He opened the door with a soft smile like we were meeting for dinner, not dismantling 3 years. Isabella, he said gently, I'm glad you came. I said I would, I replied, stepping inside and setting the boxes down in the entryway. I'm here for my things. Please, he said quickly. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I checked my watch. 5 minutes. He launched into a rehearsed speech. How sorry he was. How he'd been caught off guard. How he'd reflected deeply on his behavior. I even talked to Jessica, he added. Told her she crossed a line. She wants to apologize. We could all get coffee. Clear the air. I almost laughed. Daniel, I said calmly, you still don't get it. His smile faltered. I know it's about my reaction. It's not, I cut in. It's about how natural it was for you to laugh. Silence stretched. I love you, he said finally. Doesn't that count for anything? I looked at him, really looked at him. Love without respect isn't love, I said. It's convenience. His face hardened instantly, apology evaporating. So that's it, he snapped. 3 years thrown away because your ego got bruised? My ego is fine, I said, lifting one of the boxes. My understanding of our relationship changed. That's all. You'll regret this, he said sharply. Good luck finding someone else who puts up with you. I nodded. Where's the rest of my stuff? He hesitated. That's everything. I knew it wasn't. But I also knew pushing wouldn't give me what I wanted. As I headed for the door, he tried one last angle. What about the Cabo trip next month? He asked quickly. Flights are non-refundable. Everyone's expecting us. I turned back slowly. Everyone, I repeated. You mean Jessica? He didn't answer. That was answer enough. Enjoy Cabo, I said, closing the door behind me. The fallout was immediate. More posts, more whispers, mutual friends choosing sides based on who spoke first. Daniel's mother even called, telling me I was making a terrible mistake over a misunderstanding. I listened politely, said nothing. Then, 2 weeks later, something shifted. Daniel's post changed tone. No more anger. Now it was quotes about self-worth, about letting go of people who don't support your growth. A rebrand. And then my phone rang. It was Emily, Mike's wife. Isabella, she said carefully, I think you should know something. I leaned against my desk, already bracing myself. After you left the barbecue, she continued, Jessica didn't stop. She went on for 20 minutes, trashing you to anyone who would listen. Mike finally told her to shut up or leave. I closed my eyes. And Daniel? I asked. Emily hesitated. He defended you, she said. Eventually. Too late. I know that's not why you're calling, I said quietly. She exhaled. No, it's not. There was a pause. Then she said the words that made my stomach drop. The Cabo trip? It was supposed to be a surprise engagement vacation. Daniel's been telling everyone you were going to propose. My pulse spiked. I never told him that, I said slowly. I know, Emily replied. That's the problem. Something cold slid down my spine. How would he know? I asked. Emily swallowed. He's been going through your house for months, Isabella, looking for signs. He found the ring 2 months ago, took pictures, showed people. The room felt suddenly too quiet. Jessica's been helping him plan the wedding, Emily added softly. The betrayal hit deeper than the laughter ever could. But Emily wasn't done. One more thing, she said. Jessica's been sleeping with Mike's brother. For months. Daniel knew. Everyone knew. Except Mike. The pieces clicked into place. The hostility, the disrespect, the loyalty he demanded from me, but never gave back. When the call ended, I sat there in silence, not shaking, not crying, just done. Because now I knew. The laugh wasn't a mistake. It was a window. And I was finally seeing clearly what kind of future I'd almost built with the wrong man. After Emily's call, I didn't do anything dramatic. I didn't confront Daniel, didn't message Jessica, didn't spiral. I sat at my desk long after the office emptied, staring at the blueprints spread out in front of me. Lines precise, honest, exactly where they were supposed to be. That was the difference. Blueprints don't lie. People do. I replayed everything with new context. Jessica's contempt, Daniel's reflexive loyalty to her, the way he laughed, not nervously, not awkwardly, but comfortably, because he'd already decided who I was. The woman who tries her best, the safe option, the placeholder while he waited for something better or more useful. And I'd almost proposed to him. The realization didn't hurt the way I expected. It clarified. A week later, Daniel showed up at my office, unannounced. My assistant buzzed me first. Isabella, Daniel Carter is here. I told him you're in meetings. I'm not, I said calmly, but I'm also not seeing him. She hesitated. He walked past me. Of course he did. Seconds later, my door opened, and there he was. Confidence first, apologies second. We need to talk, he said, closing the door behind him. I didn't stand. Didn't offer him a chair. Make an appointment, I replied, eyes still on my screen. I'm working. Stop being difficult, he snapped. This is important. I looked up then. Really looked. Not my boyfriend. Not my almost fiancé. Just a man standing in my workspace, assuming access he no longer had. What's important? I asked. He hesitated, just long enough. The Carmichael deal, he said finally. There it was. I leaned back slowly. The Carmichael deal? Yes, he said, relief flickering across his face. They specifically asked about meeting you. I've been telling them about your company for months. They're opening 3 new locations. They need someone reliable. I folded my hands. So call a contractor. He frowned. Isabella, you're not short on options, I continued calmly. You're a marketing director. You network for a living. His voice dropped. This account could change my career. There it was again. Not us, not trust, not love. Utility. He stepped closer. I'm asking you, please. I studied him in silence. This was the man who laughed when I was insulted, who searched my house without permission, who let his best friend sabotage my reputation while planning a future behind my back. No, I said. He blinked. Excuse me? No, I repeated, standing now. I'm not your prop. I'm not your backup plan. I'm not your leverage. His face flushed. You're really going to punish me over a misunderstanding? This isn't punishment, I said evenly. This is consequence. For the first time since the breakup, I saw real regret in his eyes. Not regret for hurting me, regret for losing access. The door's there, I said, pointing. My assistant will show you out. Don't come back. He stood frozen for a moment, pride and panic fighting it out. Then he left. 2 days later, a text came from a number I didn't recognize. You were right. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. Daniel. I didn't respond. Some bridges don't need closure. They need distance. The fallout unfolded exactly as Emily predicted. Jessica's affair with Mike's brother exploded at a family dinner. Shouting, accusations, drinks thrown. Mike cut ties. Jessica packed up and left town shortly after. Daniel lost the Carmichael deal. Not because of me, because they'd done their own research and didn't like how he overpromised things that weren't his to offer. And me? I landed the contract anyway. Turns out reputation speaks louder than relationships. Sometimes the truth doesn't arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it just removes the noise. And what's left is peace. 6 months passed. Not in a dramatic montage kind of way. More like steady mornings, clean schedules, and the quiet satisfaction of momentum that didn't come with conditions. The business grew. We hired 5 more crew members, bought 2 new trucks, finished the Carmichael builds on time and under budget. They referred us to 2 additional clients without me ever asking. Turns out when you do good work, people notice, even without someone else narrating your value for them. The noise around Daniel faded. So did Jessica. The social circle that had rushed to label me cold, controlling, and oversensitive went suspiciously silent once the truth surfaced. Funny how confidence in opinions disappears when facts arrive. One afternoon, Daniel's father called. I almost didn't answer, but I did. He didn't apologize, didn't defend his son either. Just said, I respect how you handled it. No drama, no mess. That meant more than I expected. Then life did what it always does when you stop forcing it. It surprised me. I met Ethan through a woodworking class I'd signed up for on a whim. I'd always wanted to learn something that didn't require deadlines or crews or negotiations. He was quiet, observant, an architect who designed custom homes and actually understood the craft behind what I build. We talked, slowly. No performances, no testing boundaries. We weren't rushing anything. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't auditioning for someone else's approval. And then, one random morning, I ran into Daniel. A coffee shop near downtown. Small place. No warning. He looked different. Not worse. Just smaller. "Isabella," he said carefully, "do you have a minute?" I did. We sat. No tears, no raised voices. He apologized, properly this time, took responsibility, admitted he'd let Jessica influence his values longer than he should have. Said he was in therapy now. Learning. I listened. Then I wished him well and meant it. "Are you seeing anyone?" he asked, curious but not hopeful. "Yes," I said, taking it slow. He nodded. "He's lucky." I smiled politely. "I know." We parted without promises, without lingering tension. Just closure. Later that week, I sold the engagement ring. Used the money as a down payment on a small cabin upstate, something I'd wanted for years, but kept postponing for someday. Turns out someday doesn't arrive unless you choose it. People asked if I was too harsh, if I should have tried harder. Here's the truth. Respect isn't negotiable. The moment someone laughs at your humiliation instead of stopping it, they've already told you where you stand. Walking away doesn't make you weak. Sometimes it's the strongest thing you'll ever do. I didn't win by humiliating anyone. I won by leaving quietly and building a life that didn't require me to explain my worth.